right, let's continue with our coverage of the developing story in Barberton, where more suspected illegal miners have been surfacing from underground camps. A short while ago, you would have seen 2 injured miners coming to the surface. Last week, hundreds of miners were arrested and have since appeared in court. To help us discuss the persistent illegal mining crisis in the country, I'm joined by the Federation of Trade Unions of South Africa General Secretary Zwelinzima Vavi, who's previously spoken against government's handling of this issue. Mr. Vavi, good evening to you. Thank you very much for your time. Here we are again. What is going wrong? Why is this issue refusing to go away?
Well, there's something in the capitalist system they call the demand and supply. There's a demand for these illicit minerals in the informal sector, black market, as well as in the formal sector. And these illicit minerals find their way through the official channels straight into Richards Bay to crooks all over the country. And these crooks know that there are about 6,000 unsealed mines that have not been sealed, contrary to the legislation that says when the company decides to close down, here are the laid out procedures that it must follow to protect the environment, to seal this properly such that nobody can ever come back into that operation again. Despite that, there are many mines that are not sealed. And there is crooks in the black market who knows that there's desperate workers enough in South Africa, but more importantly, in our neighboring countries such as Lesotho and Mozambique, who knows that they were retrenched in these mines, they used to work there, and so when they get recruited by some kind of a labor broker, they are going to take their sons with, as we have seen in so many examples, and they go to Barberton, they go to Stilfontein, they go to Johannesburg, wherever their opportunities exist. So that's what we are dealing with here. Failure to regulate, that's the first part. And secondly, the porous borders, that South Africa simply has no means of stopping people walking from all directions into South Africa without necessary documentation. So we, from the people who have been doing research, they say up to 60,000 people are involved in this operation. In South Africa, as we speak, 30,000 around Gauteng alone.
It's a massive operation.
It's a massive operation.
David van Wyk from Benchmarks Foundation, talking to us last night, he says the owners of this mine, the current mine in Mpumalanga, should actually be standing in the dock together with these miners, because there is no way that they do not know that their operations have been infiltrated in this way. In fact, in his view, these workers are actually known to the mine management, but they simply will not acknowledge them because they are in the business of exploiting these people. Do you concur with this? Well,
Benchmark Foundation have produced a research that shows that actually when some of the mines close in inverted commas and move into more profitable lines underground, they then operate an informal sector operation in their former lines that are no longer as profitable as they used to be. And so they continue to mine using the so-called zamazamas and the illicit miners and all of that to continue the operation. But of course, they will not declare that publicly because they know that they are breaking the law and they know that they are paying taxes for what they are declaring as their profit in the other lines underground, but this is illicit. But it still serves them because they have this cheap labor, they can exploit, they are undocumented, they are vulnerable, And so they are easy takers for massive maximization of profit.
We don't have much time. Two important topics I'd like to explore with you before we close. Artisanal mining. These illegal miners should be possibly involved in what is called artisanal mining or small-scale mining in mines that have long been closed, as you say. Is artisanal mining functioning well in South Africa? Because there's a view that says the reason we're seeing this large-scale illegal mining is because artisanal mining, which is the policy of the government, is not functioning.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is what we call a failure of regulation. We should be regulating that. Firstly, no mine boss can just walk away and go overseas, leaving unclosed mines all over, leaving mining dumps that continue to damage the environment and maim and kill.
Whose duty is it to regulate?
It is the government. It's the Department of Minerals and Energy. It is they, in our view, that is failing the system. So that's the first point. Secondly, coming to your point, this industry should be regulated. We've been calling for regulation of this artisan mining and the so-called Zamazama industry to make sure that we don't open everybody, no matter how vulnerable or how undocumented or so-called illegal they are. Nobody deserves to be thrown into the situation you saw in steel funding, where people go down 2.8 kilometers underground on a rope that is being pulled down and up by 12, 15 men upstairs. Nobody should be allowed to work under those circumstances. We ought to be regulating that, to say, if you decide that you have had enough of the minerals and you are moving away, and that all of us know that there's still some minerals that can be exploited, this is how you're going to do it. This is how you're going to protect the environment. This is how you're going to make sure that the water is used as per the regulation of the law. This is how you're going to make sure that anybody who works there is properly protected in line with the laws of the country, and so forth and so forth.
Mr. Vavi, I'd like to close on a slightly controversial point, but we obviously will need to be careful around this in order that I don't put this station in trouble. Deputy President Paul Mashatile says he has taken a diamond that was gifted to his wife to the authorities, because at the time that this diamond became the subject of Parliament, I guess, in terms of declarations, there was a process that he wanted to undertake in order to value it so that he can have it declared. That diamond is linked to Louis Liebenberg. Louis Liebenberg is sitting in police holding cells, undergoing a criminal trial. Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi says there are politicians who are working with criminal syndicates in this country. A view has been formulated over time that this illegal mining activity in South Africa may have in it politicians who probably are benefiting from it. I'm merely painting this picture so that you tell me what view you are formulating around what I've just said.
How does undocumented worker recruited by a faceless labor broker who is able to go to Lesotho and Mozambique, take workers 2.8 kilometers underground, get some minerals up into the surface and get them into the system to the point that they will go to the smelters, they will go to Richards Bay on their way out of the country without the involvement of the state? How is that possible? Never. You can tell that to a fool. Surely there is an operation that is involving some rotten elements of the state that facilitate this underground illicit mineral exploitation activity. No doubt about it in our mind that they know, somebody know, may be doing that illegally and may be helping the crooks to beat the system to get these things into the trucks, as well as opening the doors in our harbors for these minerals to leave our country. No doubt about it. Now, I'm not saying that the Deputy President is definitely involved in that activity or that this is somehow confirming what General Mkhwanazi was saying to South Africa. No, I'm not saying so. This ought to be investigated. But as soon as you mention the name of Louis, what is guy Lou? Liebenberg, a founder of some political parties, by the way. Wow. Everybody in South Africa will say, oh, hold on, what? What mixes the Deputy President's family with this fellow who's standing on trial for being a crook, for that matter? It goes back to the point that we've been raising. Look, we have a problem in South Africa. The reason why only a third of the population, voting population, is still believing in the electoral politics of the country is precisely all of the story, the question you just asked me. Because people are simply disgusted about the direction that our politics have taken. By the way, it's not just in the political sense. Even the trade unions represent a mere 24% of the total workforce in South Africa today because they are discrediting themselves. So is the religious organizations with all of what we have read. That's why we're making a call. You have to go back to the lifestyle audit and not only do it against the director generals and the staff. You have to expand that through a legislation, passing a new legislation that will say from the president up to the most junior councillor, everybody must be subjected to lifestyle audit. Every trade union leader, every religious leader, anybody who collects money from the public must be subjected to a lifestyle audit through an independent institution that have an authority to stretch beyond what will be presented, but more importantly, that can punish people accordingly who are hiding their wealth and who suddenly have homes of up to 70 million when they are earning about only 3 million rands a year.
Zwelinzima Vavi, thank you very much for your time, sir, this evening.
Thank
General
you.
Secretary of Saftu.